Welcome to UNCAGED, a show that celebrates thought leadership from today's top business leaders. The program provides a voice to amazing executives from around the globe who are shaping the world of business today and mapping the path to the commerce of tomorrow. Today, we're speaking with Sven Boermeester, who is the CEO of Global Village Ventures, which is an innovative publisher working with blockchain and covering amazing topics. And we're going to go into some of the work that they're doing in the innovation space, specifically titled Innovate. But before we get there, Sven, it's great to have you on the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your career.
Sure. Yeah, thanks for having me. Where do we start? As you can hear, probably from my accent, I'm a South African. I live in Florida, Tampa these days, but my early years in publishing, were in South Africa. I started at quite a young age publishing all the directories, all the trade directories for trade and industry in South Africa. I did the yearbook for the farming industry, for the mining industry, for the construction industry, for hospitality. So it was kind of the full color yellow pages of South Africa based on different industries for associations. And then after a couple of years of that, I moved to New Zealand and I did the same series there again, lived there for a while. And then from there, I actually moved to Dubai and launched a series called The Best of the World. So there we did launch a book called Best of Dubai. And that was a showcase book for presidents and mayors to like an investment guide on the city or the country. And we managed to grow that into about 60 different books around the world. I think the next one was then Best of South Africa, but it carried all the way through most of the African countries, the Middle East, Asia. And at some point, I ended up passing through Tampa Bay. And then I was working about four and a half years ago, I was working on a book called Best of Tampa Bay with the mayor of Tampa Bay. And there was a chapter in there that we put that was innovations and startups. And much to my surprise, that chapter was, there wasn't enough space for all the stories that we needed to publish. And the business community kind of got together after I published Best of Tampa Bay, and they said, listen, we need to really map out the innovation ecosystem of Tampa Bay. And I said, okay, cool. I wasn't quite sure what that even meant at the time, exactly. But, they said, listen, we want you to publish a book and go and interview the top 100 innovators and innovation enablers of our community. And I want you to, make videos of them. And we're going to stick this into a book, and online, we're going to throw a big party and bring everyone together. And that's what we're going to do.
That's amazing. And that seems like, obviously the success of the Best of series, now available, in over 60 countries around the world, is incredible. And it seems like the Innovate series now is going through almost a similar growth phase. So tell us a little bit more about what this Innovate series is becoming and how it's building.
Yeah, so there were 4 reasons why Tampa Bay needed this mapping out of an innovation ecosystem. The book is just a byproduct, right? And what's true for Tampa Bay is true for any city. So the narrative goes, well, Tampa Bay sits in the shadow of Miami and Orlando, right? So it's actually one of the fastest growing tech hubs in Florida, but people don't quite know about that just yet. So the city really needed a marketing piece to say, hey, tech's happening here. We were suffering from a bit of a brain drain as well. And we were growing so fast, we needed a recruitment tool. Secondly, companies needed to recruit people from out of town. So they needed a showpiece to say, hey, look at all the innovation happening around Tampa Bay. We also put the book full of beaches and lifestyle, and it makes it like, wow, who doesn't want to live in Tampa Bay? You got all this tech and beaches and good weather.
I think nowadays, Sven, you just have to show a picture of Tom Brady, and that's probably the spokesperson of the city these days.
Yeah, indeed. But 4 or 5 years ago, that wasn't the case. But it's amazing how that city's transformed. And then, and another big part of it was there's a lot of money sitting on the golf course in Florida, and a lot of retired money, all the snowbirds, and we needed that money to be reinvested into the community, into startups. So Florida Funders, was quite, was just starting up, and I think they had maybe about a couple of $1 million worth of investment from different, semi-retired captains of industry that said, "Come, let's not play golf every day. Let's maybe take 10% of our real estate portfolio and throw it back into the pot, and maybe once every Friday I'll even do some mentoring." But then when we finished the book, we invited them all to the launch party, and they got to meet all the people that were doing all these different innovations and all these startups, and suddenly it grew. I mean, now Florida Funders is a massive organization doing hundreds of millions of dollars of investments into the ecosystem, and that's where it started. That one book, and then what I thought was really just a one-off project, to do a favor to the city, ended up becoming viral because every city suffered these same issues, right? And then if you look at Florida as a whole, that's even more disconnected than Tampa Bay was. Tampa Bay is broken up in these cities around the bay with these bridges, so there was also a lack of collaboration happening, which is another reason for the book. But if you look at Florida, Miami, Orlando, Tampa Bay, Jacksonville, and Gainesville, they don't talk to each other. I mean, it's not a united state by any stretch. They're almost like different population groups, and it needed some unification. So from there, it was quickly asked of me to publish the rest of Florida, and then it was Innovate Florida. And then from there, fast forward 4 years, I think we're in about 50 odd cities in the world at the moment. We launch a new city every month, and it kind of became viral, and people love the book. It's a legacy piece. We use AR videos inside the books. We have wood-free paper, so the print model is alive and well, at least in the format that we publish it. And so it was a bit of a surprise project that kind of grew, and we're having a great time publishing these books.
That's amazing. I can clearly see how the series has played a galvanizing force in bringing together communities, and really, it sounds like putting them on the map for the most critical thing for every economy, which is innovation, right? And new businesses and new companies. And so I can see the value of the purpose. And as someone who's based in Miami, I know what you're talking about. There's a lot of need for that right now, for sure, with the businesses here. But tell me a little bit more about innovation in publishing in general. I mean, it seems like a time you've been through a couple of iterations now where you've done the best of series. Now you're doing this Innovate series around the world. And I know that you've spoken extensively about blockchain and how that can play a role. Tell us a little bit about publishing in general and what's happening.
Yeah, so, in the old days, I mean, not even that old, like 5 years ago, our game was advertising based, and it was pay to play. And and we kind of, with Innovate, we didn't want to charge anyone. We wanted to make it free. And then the challenge was, well, how are we going to pay for this thing, right? If we can't sell advertising, and we've got to have it free, because if only the people that paid go in the book, you don't have the ecosystem, right? You only have the people that paid that are in there, and that's not the complete story, and it's not authentic either. And that whole thing is, it also leaves a bad taste in everyone's mouth, and then it's paid for marketing, really. So we had to make it free, and much to our surprise, but if you create a book that's authentic, that everyone loves, people buy them in bulk. So really, our business model was just crowdfunded book sales, and if we have 100 participants in a book, it's maybe some startups will buy 10, but we've had companies and governments and mayors buy as much as 3,000 copies of one edition to give out to their larger community. So we ended up book sales alone was more than enough. We didn't have to sell a single advert, and we didn't have to charge anyone to be in here. Book sales worked. So that's something that I think no one else is doing. That's a risk we took, and it worked. But I haven't heard of anyone doing something like that. Then as far as technology goes, obviously you've got to be, you know, as clean and green as possible. So you have to use wood-free paper and, you know, don't cut down trees and use, you know, so it's all kind of a waste product, but, you know, it's no longer that glossy paper. It's really more like a newsprint, but it's still, you know, it still prints beautifully. And then we have to add AR videos. So we hide QR codes behind the images with an app. So when you hover your phone over the image, it's a little bit like Harry Potter's newspaper, it plays the video. So we have, you know, not just the book, we have 100 videos embedded in the book as well.
Oh, wow. I love that. I love the idea of having a book, but also with those kind of interactive elements to it. And it certainly reflects, I'd say, the hybrid world that we find ourselves in right now with this pandemic. And I guess, you know, it kind of leads nicely into my next question for you, which is, as you've launched this Innovate series and you're building it around the world now in different cities, also across the US, you know, how has the pandemic impacted your activities and, you know, maybe some of the challenges, but also probably some of the opportunities that it's provided?
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, when the pandemic first arrived, I think like everyone, we all caught a bit of a fright and things stood still for about 6 months while everyone was, you know, trying to figure out what was happening next. You know, I know at least 6 months we literally didn't do anything. We literally stopped publishing. And then people kind of realized, okay, life needs to carry on. And then suddenly we boomed. I think you could say maybe we compete a little bit with events, you know, because it's like a book and an event, really. You know, it's like an exhibition of companies and their innovation stories in a book. And, you know, all that money that was going to exhibitions and the lack of communication touch points that people had, the book became very, you know, more of a necessity. And they had the extra funds, and now you can use the book and you give it as a corporate gift to your clients, and it becomes a marketing tool for your salespeople to connect with your target market, as you used to do in events. So we've been quite fortunate that right throughout the pandemic we've grown. Also, we've been able to make things a lot faster, where a lot of our partners in the world, around the world, used to do face-to-face visits and show the book and say, hey, you know, this is what it's all about, and show the AR video, and they felt it was really necessary to shake someone's hand and see them face-to-face to do the meeting. But that's time-consuming and costly. And now all this happens on Zoom. And so now we can publish a book in and literally at twice the speed. We just post a copy to the potential participants, and then they've got one in front of them who do the Zoom call. And I won't say it's as effective as a face-to-face meeting, but, you know, it's about 80%. So, but the time you save, and you can do 10 meetings a day, versus in the old days, you could do 3 a day. So in that world, what has obviously gone down a bit is the launch parties. You know, when a book's out, we throw big parties. So we have missed those, and a lot of the collaboration and the fun that happens there. But, you know, what can you do? So we'll do a few virtual launches, not quite as fun, not nearly as fun, but nonetheless, the book gets published and everyone's happy and things are going.
And you know, I imagine that these events will come back as hopefully the pandemic winds down. It doesn't impact our lives as much. But you know, as you look forward now into 2022, I am loving this idea of 2022. It feels like such a big number, Sven, that it really does feel like we're living in the future now. And tell me a little bit about what's the future of publishing for you guys, and what are your plans for this year?
You know, while we've, you know, gone from 1 city to 50 cities in 4 years, there are 10,000 cities in the world, right? 10,000. So if I just do 10% of the most innovative cities, that means I have to publish 1,000 ecosystems. So, you know, that's a long road. Then we've also started publishing industry-specific books. So, for instance, after our book, Innovate Montreal, there was a big chapter on artificial intelligence in there. And then the Quebec government approached us and said, hey, there's 1,000 AI companies in Quebec. Can you please publish a book on that? So then we did AI Quebec. We just finished a book called Gaming and Esports. So suddenly it's not just cities, but industry ecosystems want their book as well and want to have their party and then their community connected. And then from there, we obviously decided that blockchain, is my partner and I. We've been big fans of the blockchain right from the beginning, from mining Bitcoin in our garages, and we've been playing in that space more for fun, for many years. But now we feel it's time to publish. The first book will be Innovate Blockchain, coming out in May for the Americas. We'll do one for Europe, one for MENA, and one for Asia. So really want to tell all the stories of all the architects behind the blockchain. And we realize that our industry will be affected just like everyone else's industry. And we kind of want to be the first ones in that game. And what's really exciting about the blockchain for us is that, while we map out all these different ecosystems and we play a role in connecting and matchmaking innovators across the world, we can only do that through book and through online and through some events and blogs and literally introducing people via email. But if we can create an innovation platform within the blockchain and give everyone a membership where people can meet in the metaverse, then we can really start connecting the innovators. And that's really where innovation happens. There are a series of ideas that get embraced, that get shared and executed. And really, if you look at the amount of stories that we have right now, I think we're close to 10,000 innovation stories that we've published, but pretty soon we'll probably be at 100,000. Now, if we can get all these people to talk to each other and to share their ideas and collaborate, which we are doing, but if we can do that on the blockchain, then within the metaverse, and give everyone an avatar, and we can help fund these different startups as well, with the monies that are made through the blockchain membership, then we can really change the world.
Well, I mean, Sven, it's been incredible. I feel like anybody who thought that they knew what publishing is needs to talk to you, because you're someone who is truly on the leading edge of what is happening. Sven, before we go, if someone wanted to learn more about what the Innovate series is about and other ways to work with Global Village Ventures, where should they find you?
Well, that's easy. You go to innovationsoftheworld.com, right? And you find me, and you can LinkedIn me, Sven Boermeester as well, but you can find me there and just reach out. We are obviously always looking for publishing partners in different cities that want to partner with us. And that's really what happens. There's always an entrepreneur that wants to showcase their ecosystem in every city, and then they work with us. We do the printing, the publishing, and the distribution, and they collect the stories. So we're looking for hundreds more of those. And people that want to read the books, it's all free. You can go online to the ebook library, read any book you want, and connect with any of the people inside those books. We're literally an open book in that manner.
That's great. That's the line of the day there. Sven Boermeester is an open book. So, Sven, it's been great talking with you. We've been chatting with Sven Boermeester. He's the CEO of Global Village Ventures. He's also the creator of the Innovate Series, which is a publishing project showcasing success stories from innovations across the world. And I'm sure he'll be coming to your neck of the woods, wherever you are, soon. Sven, thank you so much for being on UNCAGED Day, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you.
Cheers.
See you soon.